car, SUV, or truck, guess what? You're in luck. Frontier Motors is down the street. Got the best deals that can't be beat. Don't overpay, come in today. Doing business the old-fashioned way. Frontier, we got the right price. Frontier, we'll treat you mighty nice. Frontier Motors, low overhead country.
Good news. The show that you're about to hear is paid for by the sponsor. That would be Frontier Motors, 230 Beverly Parkway is where they're normally located, but today they're right here. They being Iven Streckel. He's the boss. He's the owner. He will be happy to take any inquiries that you might have. 478-3116. You want to get the price of a car, truck, or an SUV you're thinking of buying or selling or trading in, give us a call. Good morning, Iven.
Hey, Don, thanks for the introduction. And not only is this 1370 Talk Radio, we are also videotaping this for our Blab TV customers. So if you're watching this on TV, I do appreciate you checking in. And this is the Frontier Motor Show. And like Don said, we talk cars for the next half hour. Let the people in the Pensacola area know that there is a car dealership here that's actually willing to help you when you're in the car market, even if you don't buy from us. And we do a lot of things for free at Frontier Motors. One of the things that we do for free is we give free history reports. If you are going to be buying a car from a neighbor, a friend, relative, maybe on Craigslist, or maybe even another dealership that does not pay for history reports, we will pay for them for you because I pay Carfax and AutoCheck one fee, and I can run as many as I want. So we advertise that we will help you get a free history report. Let's say your neighbor's selling the car. He doesn't want to. It's almost $45 for a Carfax report. It's $40-some plus taxes. And I think if you pay like $70 or $80, you can run like 4 or 5. And the AutoCheck, which is the second largest provider of history reports in the nation, they're like $25. So we run them both for you. Every once in a while, and I'll give you a prime example, I had a Lexus that I was appraising the other day, and I appraised it, and the Carfax said there was an accident reported, but it didn't say anything about the severity of the accident. So you don't know if it was minor or if it was major. You don't know anything other than a couple of years ago, this car was in an accident. When I checked AutoCheck, it said accident reported. It was the same date, severe damage reported. Now, that might keep you from purchasing that vehicle if the vehicle had severe damage a while back. Some people wouldn't, but I guess it depends on who fixed it, but you don't really know. But that's really interesting that the Carfax didn't really say anything much other than the fact that it had been an accident. So these are things that you would want to know if you're buying a car from a car dealership or a private individual. And the way that you find that out is by calling Frontier Motors, and we will share that information for you. You can either pick it up at 230 Beverly Parkway. We can print it off for you, or we can email it to, or we can just tell you. You call us up and we'll tell you, hey, it's a good history report. It's a one-owner car, no issues. Go ahead and buy. And by the way, this is what this car is going for. Because when we take the information, we put it in our system, our computer automatically tells us the average selling price of that vehicle with those types of miles on it and this equipment in our area. So we can give you what I consider the real price, not a book price. The book price would be like the one I'm holding up right now, which is an NADA book. This is, by the way, the books that the bankers in our area use. And this particular book I'm using is not available on the internet. Even though there is an NADA available on the internet, this is the official guidebook that our bankers and credit unions and a lot of our insurance companies use. So it is a good book to find out what the retail book value is. The other book that we also use is called the Black Wholesale Guidebook. And this is what is compiled at the auction. But better yet, I can get right into the auction reports and they will tell me I don't have to have this book. Matter of fact, this book I'm holding up right now is all beat up because this book is from 2014. That is the last time I actually physically got the book because everything these days is on computer. So we get it electronically so I can look up the wholesale value of the vehicle and I can also look up the auction price of a vehicle. The reason that, of course, is very important is because if I know what I can buy one for at the auction, I can put a small profit on there, account for the shipping and the fees, and tell you this is what I can sell you a car like this for. So if you're calling in to get the history report, I can also tell you what I can sell a car like that for. And with having almost 400 cars in inventory, I might have a twin like that I can use as an example. Well, I got a car just like this, and I can sell it for this much. So if your neighbor's asking $25,000, and I can sell that car for $22,000, I'll either get your business at 22, or you can use that information to go back to your neighbor and say, hey, Frontier Motors can sell me that car for $22,000. Why don't you drop your price down to $22,000 and I will buy it from you. The other thing we can also help you with, folks, if I got new car cost guides at the dealership, Consumers Reports, which I do subscribe to Consumers Reports. I have one right in front of me right here. This is Consumers Reports right here. Consumers Reports says that they will sell you an invoice for $14.95. Now, the reason they're selling invoices is because they feel that if you're going to buy a brand new car, if you know what the invoice is to the dealer on that car, it helps you negotiate a better deal for yourself if you know what the dealer paid. You do not have to pay Consumers Reports $15 for an invoice. We have the invoices for free. So if you're in the new car market and we can't talk you out of it, which, by the way, I might as well talk about Dave Ramsey, because Dave Ramsey is the money guru in town. He does a great job nationwide talking about what you should do to save money. And one of the things that he talks about is not buying new. Of course, I love that because we don't sell new cars at Frontier Motors. We sell used cars. Let's take a listen and see what he says.
Hey, Dave Ramsey here. Whether you're on baby step 1 or baby step 7, my advice when it comes to buying a car has been the same. Don't buy new. Consumer Reports last year put into writing that a new car depreciates 27% in the first 12 months. On an average price $34,000 new car, that's roughly a $9,200 loss in the first year alone. Here's what you should do instead. Go see my friends at Frontier Motors. They specialize in great used cars that still look and smell like new. Frontier Motors offers over 400 of these vehicles in stock in one location. What sets these guys apart from a regular car dealership is that they make the hated process of buying a car a stress-free experience. They're one of the few dealers that will give you a bottom line out-the-door price in writing. It's not very easy finding an honest car dealer, but I know you'll be treated right when you shop at Frontier Motors. Tell them Dave Ramsey sent you.
So Dave Ramsey does a good job talking about the fact that if you're going to be in the car market, at least stop at Frontier Motors and let's see how much we can save you on a vehicle that might be just like new. So right now I'm talking to the new car buyers out there. If you're thinking about buying a car, there's a couple of things I can help you with if you're going to buy new. And we don't necessarily sit there and try to talk you out of buying new. We just want to give you the alternative. A lot of people, like 17.4 million people last year, bought brand new cars. They didn't listen to Dave Ramsey. They didn't buy used cars. They went and bought a brand new car because that's what they wanted. So what I can do by helping you is I can tell you what the invoice of that car is. So if you know what the dealer cost is, give them a small profit, and it kind of saves you a lot of time for the haggling process. The second thing that I can do also is talk to you about what a 2018 model used car would run you versus a brand new one. And I have vehicles that are very similar to new. For example, we have a Nissan cargo van with 140 miles on it. We have a Buick Encore, which is their small SUV, a great SUV, very highly rated by Consumers Reports, by the way. It has 103 miles on it. We have a Honda HR-V. The CR-V is their mid-sized SUV for Honda. The HR-V is now their new smaller SUV. We have one of those on the lot. It has exactly 200 miles on it. We have a Toyota Avalon that we just got, a hybrid limited Avalon, a pearl white one. It has 280 miles on it. We have a Genesis G80 in stock. Now, Alan Turner is our Genesis dealer in town. By the way, if you don't know this, Genesis is now the new Highline division of Hyundai. And Alan Turner has the Hyundai franchise. And I always urge you that if you're going to buy brand new, patronize our local dealerships. And in the Hyundai and the Genesis happens to be Alan Turner. So you'd go see what a brand new one is and then take a look at ours with 436 miles on that vehicle. And let's compare the bottom line difference. And if there's no difference, I would, of course, buy the brand new one. But what if there was a $5,000 or $6,000 price difference and the car had 400 or 500 miles on it? Wouldn't it be worth it? And what I always urge you to do, folks, is if you go to a car dealership in town, ask them for one price. And the price that's important is not the discount, not the list price, not the trade-in value or the trade allowance. The only thing that's important is what do you got to write the check for? Always pretend you're paying cash, even if you're not. I don't care if you go to your credit union, if you take a home equity loan, or if you write a check. The only thing that's important is the bottom line figure. Then you can use that bottom line figure if you're going to finance it. You can have the car dealership finance it, or you can go to your own bank or credit union and finance it there. But only one important thing is the out the door total. Now that out the door total has to include not only taxes, but also include any fees that they charge. Dealers charge dock fees, setup fees, get-ready fees. They charge a battery tax, a tire tax, electronic title filing fee, a title you have to pay for, a registration, a renewal. These are all fees that come with purchasing a vehicle. And I don't really mind if one dealer charges more than another. But what you should do is get them to give you that out-the-door figure. And my advice has always been, since I've been doing this show, that if they won't, walk out. They're hiding something. Because the only way that you can really compare is to know that out-the-door figure. It gets very confusing when they start talking trade-in values. I had a customer the other day that we were giving them $25,000 for their car. And the first thing out of their mouth was, well, I was down at the other dealership down the road, and they were giving me $30,000. And I said, Mr. Customer, your car is not worth $5,000 more to one dealer than the other. It really isn't. The difference that they had is he was working on a brand new car that dealer had marked up $2,900 over the original window sticker. So then he could give them a higher trade-in value. And this particular customer didn't care about the bottom line. He only cared about the trade-in value. And if you only worry about the trade-in value, you're going to get ripped off. And that's why, folks, I'm telling you that the only way to really buy a car is to ask that dealer to give you an out-the-door figure. And then if you're going to shop that figure, if it's apples to apples, it makes it really easy. If you come to Frontier Motors and I give you an out-the-door figure of $30,000, including every single thing, and you go to the new car dealership and they're $35,000, isn't it easy to make a decision at that point? You just have to decide if paying $5,000 more for a new car is worth it. Some people might actually say yes. If you've got more money than you need, you might say, forget it, I'm buying a brand new car. The other people would say, well, wait a minute, let me take a closer look at that used car with 500 miles on it. And if the car has been in no accident, if it has no issues, if it's just like a brand new car, a non-smoker, clean history report, under factory warranty. By the way, the warranty on a Genesis is 5 years, 60,000 miles. So if the car is 4 months old, you still get almost 5 years of warranty on that car because the warranty transfers automatically with the car. They changed that 20 years ago. I don't know if for you old timers out there, remember years ago you used to have to fill out a registration form, and then when you sold your car to the next owner, you had to pay a fee and reassign the warranty to the next one. I'm talking 30 years ago. That doesn't. Right now, the ID number is under the warranty. So they scan the ID number in the service area. If the vehicle is less than 5 years old and less than 60,000 miles, you still have full bumper-to-bumper warranty. So let's talk a little bit about what sets Frontier Motors apart from the competition. And I think our customers really say it best. And I brought some of our surveys with us. When we get customers into the dealership, we send them an electronic survey, and we get about a 50% response. And we monitor that because we want to make sure two things. Number one, that our customers are 100% satisfied, which of course is any business goal. But number two, if they're not 100% satisfied, then it's our job to know that and get them 100% satisfied. You always want negative feedback if there is such a thing. Obviously, we don't want negative feedback. But if somebody is upset because a salesperson or a manager or somebody at the dealership did something wrong, we need to know about that because the only way to get to 100% is to know what problems that we have so we can solve them. So we survey our customers, and fortunately, knock on wood, the last 2 months of surveys, we haven't got anything except 100%. And I gave a couple of them for Don to read on the show here. Hopefully we won't bore everybody, but we want people to know that there is a used car dealership that does things the way they should be done, which is honesty and above board and not like a normal used car salesman.
Let's take a look here. Joseph, this was toward the end of June. The single best experience we've ever had buying a vehicle. We came in, we explained to Jake, I assume that's your salesperson, exactly what we were looking for. We told him what our budget was and that it was non-negotiable. This is the first salesman we've ever had that respected that and talked us through the process and came back with an offer that everyone agreed with and felt good about it the first time. In past experiences, the budget has never been respected, so this was huge for us. No need for negotiating or haggling, just upfront communication all the way through. I wish every dealership operated this way, all caps, we will be back.
That's great. That's a great testimonial.
All right, let's try. How about Sean? Said, I've purchased over 30 vehicles in my lifetime. This was the most pleasant buying experience I have ever encountered. My salesperson, Charlene, was awesome. I will definitely recommend Frontier Motors to friends and family. You want one more?
Yeah.
Let's pick out here.
I got them numbered, I think.
Yeah. Gabrielle, no, I can't quite read that. I think it's Carlton, yeah. This one's a little short one here. This was our fourth purchase in 6 years. You are the best in town. That pretty much said it all.
We are the best in town.
Yep.
Is there one on another page, John? I think we got
maybe.
Come on.
Okay. Yeah, there's another page here. This is from D-E-E. Great salesman. Scott, you rock. That would be great. Scott Ford, perhaps.
Scott Ford?
Yeah, the one that I normally deal with. Great support staff, a grand place to buy a car. It was an answer to a prayer, especially if you're a woman who knows nothing about cars and is sometimes intimidated by misogynistic salespeople. Scott Ford is anything but misogynistic, that's for sure.
Misogynistic. I like that.
Yeah. Someone who doesn't treat women very well.
Oh, that's not good at all.
Yeah.
Well, we actually, years and years ago when I started a dealership, I had a huddle with all our salespeople, and I talked about that because, the old adage of a car salesman is awful.
It is.
And they have
a little on the seedy side.
They have a tendency to pre-qualify customers, and one of them, of course, is women customers. And years ago, it was always thought that you could take advantage of a female customer. Well, you can't anymore. Number one, with the internet these days, folks, no matter if you're male or female, it doesn't matter what you are, is that people are way more educated than they used to be. Matter of fact, most of the customers that come in to look at a particular car know way more about the car than a salesperson. I think last time I checked, there was like over 240 different makes and models for sale, brand new in the United States, 240 different models of cars. So how could you expect an independent used car dealer like Frontier Motors to have a salesman that knows everything about every one of those 240 cars? Plus, they change every year. Cars are added, models are added and deleted, they're changed, they're updated, so we don't know. So the customers are well educated. And also, with the internet these days, they're also educated on the pricing of a car. They know if you're taking advantage of them based on what they're seeing, not book value-wise, like the Kelley Blue Book or the Edmunds, because a lot of times those books are very exaggerated, or the opposite. I always use the reference of a Jeep Wrangler, that the books are way too low, that the selling price of a used Wrangler is way higher than book value. So sometimes it goes the opposite. So, but you can see what they're asking for a particular vehicle. For example, if you settle with the insurance companies for $10,000 and you do find that car on a dealer's lot for $10,000, you can't drive it home for $10,000 because they're going to charge you a dock fee, they're going to charge you a tax, they're going to charge you a county tax. There's all kinds of other fees that go with that transaction that the insurance company should reimburse you. So you need to know that. So don't just take their word for it. And I'm not saying they're here to rip you off. A lot of insurance companies that I've noticed, probably 50% of them, give you the right price right off the bat, which means 50% of the time you're not getting the right price. So if that does happen to you, you contact Frontier Motors and we will give you that price in writing of what we can sell you a car just like that for, and you should be made whole by the insurance company. Number two, we would also tell you that if they don't total that car, what is the diminished value on that particular car? And I had an extreme example the other day where a gentleman called us up and he says, I have a 2018 Mercedes AMG, which is a high-performance $150,000 car, and he had been in a $30,000 accident, and he wanted to know, what does that do to my resale value? I says, well, in that particular car, because it's a high-performance sports car, it kills the resale value. And I would say that it would probably be somewhere between $5,000 and $10,000 of diminished value that he should be awarded if the accident in case was not his fault. I'd have to put a little asterisk on diminished value that if you run into a tree, obviously that's going to show on a history report, you will have diminished value, but your insurance company is not going to pay you to run in a tree. So if it's your fault, you're not going to get diminished value. But if somebody else causes the accident, see Frontier Motors and we will tell you what the diminished value in our opinion is. It's not a formula. It's just our opinion of what we would appraise a car for that's been in a moderate or major accident. By the way, if you have a minor accident, don't bother getting diminished value because there isn't going to be any diminished value if it's a minor fender bender, if you back into the garage or something like that, or somebody taps you at a stoplight and you got $500 damage. That's really not going to make a difference on the value of the vehicle down the road, as long as the history report, of course, does say minor. So those are some of the things that we can, when we talk about Frontier Motors. Now, last month, we sold 215 vehicles. Now, the reason I bring that up is because that means that I have to buy at least 215 vehicles to replace the ones that were sold. And of course, I do this on a weekly basis. So we buy between 50 and 60 vehicles a week. And we love to advertise, or love to have a private individuals come into Frontier Motors, because I would rather buy a vehicle from a private individual than buy from someone I don't know. And that's what happens when I buy at an auction. A lot of these cars that I have with 100 and 200 and 300 miles on, I buy at auctions. And those cars are either rental cars that were being used. A lot of people always ask, well, how do you get cars with 100 miles on? Well, some car dealerships over-purchase, where if they can't sell a car in a certain, I'm not sure if everybody knows that, but car dealers, if they have a floor plan, which means they borrow the money on their new cars, they get free floor plan from the manufacturer for a certain period of time. After that, they've got to pay cash for the car. So a lot of times if that car is not sold, they will take that car to the auction and liquidate, even take their losses. Obviously, the car is going to be sold as a used car, even though it's brand new, but they're going to lose money on it because they have to turn that car into cash. And that's where I come in, because now those are open sales. I can go to the auction. I can buy a car. Like I said, I got a Genesis here with 400 miles on. That's literally brand new. So I'm able to save you thousands of $1,000 by being able to purchase that car. But I would rather buy it from you than from someone I don't know. So if you've got a car and you're thinking of selling it, maybe you're doing the Dave Ramsey thing. You're going from a 2-car family down to a 1-car family, or maybe you're going to go to a no-car family and take the bicycle or take the bus. And if you're going to do that, then bring that car to Frontier Motors. And within 15 minutes, we can give you a check for that car if you have the title. Now, a lot of times you won't have the title. Maybe you still owe money on the car. And then, of course, we're going to use our money to pay your car off. And then we're going to give you the difference as soon as we get the title, which normally could be very fast if it's an electronic title. I don't know if everybody knows that, but a lot of times the state these days keeps the title on file where you don't have a paper title like we used to years and years ago. And if you don't know, by the way, you should check with the Department of Motor Vehicles and find out if you have a paper title or an electronic title, because I can't pay you for the car unless I get the title. If it's electronic, they guarantee me the title, so I can write you a check and I'll have I can actually print the title myself, believe it or not. So it works very, very well for the person that does not want to have people come over to the house. And right now it's still light out till 8 o'clock at night, so it's not that big of an issue. But as the winter time, it gets dark at 4 to 5 o'clock, and you definitely don't want people coming over at 6 o'clock at night in the dark to test drive your car. There's a lot of scams going on, so we advertise that we buy cars, and people are always somewhat shocked when they come in that we don't take advantage of them by giving them a ridiculous low ballpark figure on their car, that if the value of the vehicle can be justified, we're going to give you the justifiable figure and tell you how we came up with that. And it's not all book values. I don't care what the Kelley Blue Book says or the Edmunds. If they're going for less at the auction, I'm going to offer you less. If they're going for more, I'm going to give you more. And I don't get greedy. The way that I do this is I know I have to make a profit, but because we're an independent dealer, I don't have a multi-million-dollar mausoleum to pay for. I don't have high taxes and high insurance to pay for. Our building was purchased 22 years ago for $105,000, and we've remodeled it and updated, but it was always a little bit of time. So we don't have that high overhead that you're going to see at some of these new car dealers that have millions and millions of dollars invested in their dealerships. Matter of fact, there was a dealership that sold in New York last year, and it was $60 million for a car dealership in New York. Can you imagine what the overhead, how much money they have to generate in profit to be able to pay for that? And at Frontier Motors, our overhead is so low that we can tack a small profit on and still pay you more than just about any other dealer out there and not take advantage of you. We're paying you $15,000 for a $20,000 car. The other thing also we can do for you, folks, is that if I give you a buy bid on the car and it's just not enough, or maybe you owe a little bit more, we can also do consignments. And I'll normally pay between $1,000 to $1,500 more on a consignment basis because I don't have to use my cash. I don't have to worry about if the vehicle is going to lose value because I don't own the vehicle. So we put it on consignment, we give you more money, and we sell that car on consignment for you. We don't charge a fee, we don't charge a percentage, we just tell you what we're going to net you. So if I tell you I'm going to net you $20,000, if I sell the car for $21,000, I make $1,000 and you get a check for $20,000. So everybody's happy. And my customer gets a good car at a good price that doesn't have to be negotiated back and forth forever. Check out our website, folks. If you're not familiar with Frontier Motors, we have all of our employees on the website. All the pictures are there. We also have almost 400 cars in inventory right now, 31 or more detailed photographs. All of our cars have prices on it. We're not one of these car dealerships that don't have prices. So they all have prices on there. And you can email the dealership. Sometimes there's a little bit of wiggle room on the price, and sometimes they're not. In this day and age with the internet, we have to be very competitive with our pricing, or we're never going to sell a car on the internet. So the amount of room when we talk about negotiating is not like it used to be years ago before they had the internet pricing. People would get taken advantage of. That's almost impossible these days. We make a fair profit on every car, but we make sure that we sell a car that has lower miles or in better condition or has more equipment than the competition for the same price or lower. That's our goal. And when you look at pricing, especially on the Highline cars, you're going to find that we're going to have cars that are in phenomenal shape. We're not like a car dealership that buys an average car and spruces it up. I would rather buy a very clean car that hasn't been smoked in, that doesn't have any issues, that's not all nicked up, and buy that car. And I'd rather pay a little bit more for that car so I can offer it without sprucing the car up to the next owner that still has a lot of life left in them. And of course, as I said before, we are what I consider the alternative to new. So even though we have a lot of cars that can be sold under $10,000, even some under $7,000 and $6,000, our primary goal at Frontier Motors is the new car customer comes in and we show them a car that's a half a year old or 1 year old, maybe 1.5 year old, that still is under factory warranty, that we can save you thousands of dollars. And as Dave Ramsey said, and Consumers Report says in April's edition, the first year depreciation is 27%. Last year, the average new car sold for $34,000, almost $35,000 car. That means the average first year, if you buy a car brand new today, you lose $9,200 in 1 year. So even if I buy that car at the auction for $9,000 less on an average, I can bring it back and mark it up $2,000 or $3,000 and still save you somewhere between $6,000 and $7,000 and still make money and stay in business over the price of a new one. We've only got a minute left. So again, Frontier Motors, located at 230 Beverly Parkway. Our web address is frontiermotorsinc.com. If you Google Frontier Motors, we're the first one that pops up. There's 5 Frontier Motors in the nation. We're the largest one. So we come up right off the bat. And again, we've got almost 400 cars in inventory. It's almost like going to a car show when you come to Frontier Motors because we have every make and model in stock. So if you're not sure what you want, that would be the place to go is Frontier Motors because we make it easy and we make it fun to actually look for buying a car. And we don't pressure you into making a decision when you're not ready. Stop in at Frontier Motors or just stop in and sell us your car, rather if you're not interested in buying a car at this time. Thanks for listening and thanks for watching. Have a great day. Auf Wiedersehen.
Frontier Motors is down the street. Got the best deals that can't be beat. Don't overpay, come in today. Doing business the old-fashioned way. Frontier, we got the right price. Frontier, we'll treat you mighty nice. Frontier Motors, low overhead country.